Good evening, and welcome to the July 21st, 2021 Calexico City Council open session meeting. We're starting at 6:33. Would everybody please stand up for a pledge of allegiance? Councilwoman Roman, can you do me a favor?
Thank you. Ready, begin. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing. And Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, you need to give this straight? Sure.
Ready? Together, we
Pledge to provide effective education services in a courteous and respectful manner to improve the quality of life for all in our unique border community. Viva Calexico.
And I will do the invocation. Please bow our heads. Dear loving Father, thank you on behalf of all who gather here today for your many abundant blessings. Thank you for life itself, for the measure of health as we fulfill our callings. To govern with sense of welfare and true needs of our people, govern with justice and righteousness. Amen.
Amen.
All right, please be seated. Yes. City Clerk, can we have a roll call?
Mayor Moreno,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Garcia,
Here.
Councilmember Arreola Fernandez,
Here.
Councilmember Romo,
Here.
Councilmember Ureña is absent. We have a quorum.
Thank you. In closed session, we discussed several items. At this time, I'm going to ask our city attorney to report our closed item session discussion.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Tonight we had one item anticipated litigation, one potential case. There was direction given to staff, but no reportable action.
Thank you. I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
Second by Councilwoman Arreola Fernandez. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
We'll have discussion first.
Oh, okay. You have discussion?
Yeah, if possible, I would like to pull item 16 for future discussion or consideration.
Okay.
So motion was made to pull consent item number 16?
16.
16 for future agenda?
Yes.
Okay. All right. All those in favor? Aye.
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 All those opposed? Ms. Romo, you
Aye.
vote? Aye? Okay.
Yeah.
So all those opposed?
Thank you.
No opposed. Motion carried 4-0. Thank you. And then now we have our presentations by our chief, Pavila. Thank you, Chief.
Good evening, Honorable City Council, Mayor, congratulations, and thank you for taking the helm tonight. Staff that's in attendance, thank you for showing up, and obviously, most importantly, our public that's able to participate in person, but as well as our social media platforms. The COVID updates, is this on? Can you guys hear me? I don't think it's on, huh?
I can hear.
Okay. The COVID update for this week, not much has really changed in the world of the COVID. I'll start off with our numbers. Total, this is just for Calexico. Total affected were 7,389, and that is from the start of 2020. Active right now, we have 46, and the good number that I always appreciate is the recovery rate, 4,237, and unfortunately, we have 235 deaths. Looking back at our numbers for the deaths, they seem to be decreasing, which means obviously our recovery rate will increase. Over the past week, California has averaged about 2,678 new cases per day, and because of this, the state of California has suggested that we start wearing our mask again indoors. When that was happening, the Imperial County Health Officer also made the recommendation. So what does that mean? Even if you are vaccinated or non-vaccinated, they are recommending that you wear your face mask inside businesses, large events, and outside as well. One of the other things with COVID is our variants. We have the Alpha variant, the Beta, the Delta, and the Gamma. Those are the four new variants that are throughout, United States. The one that we're watching right now, because we've had an increase of them, is the Beta. So the Beta ones we've had total for the Imperial Valley is 69, and we've had 100 of variants of the Delta. I'm sorry, I got that confused. The Beta Alpha is 69, and 100 is the Gamma. So the Gamma ones we're doing, that affects mostly the younger population. So they're keeping an eye on that. One of the other things on the vaccination is your card. Several community members and residents are asking, hey, how do we get a copy of my vaccine card electronically? It's pretty easy. All you have to do is go to myvaccinerecord.cdph.ca.gov, and I'll see if we can have Gabby perhaps put that on our Facebook and our website as well. Let me see, what else do we have for this? A good number for us is Imperial County. Fortunately, we've had about 70% of the population has been vaccinated. And that number seems to be going up. One of the things that we're seeing is people are getting their first vaccination, and then for some reason they're forgetting to get the second vaccination, or they think that the time period has changed. Just want to make a reminder that it's 21 to 28 days when they can get their vaccine shot. So they still have almost about a month to get that. Nothing more for COVID. One of the things I do want to bring to attention is the heat emergencies for the citizens of Calexico. That's been an increase. We've seen that. And we just want to remind the citizens, stay home if you can. And if you're going to go out, make it a short visit, drink plenty of water. And if you feel ill, activate 911 and we'll be there to help you guys out. If you don't have any questions for me, that'll be my presentation on COVID.
I have something, unless Mike, yes. Go ahead.
Chief, on the masking, so that's just something that is it's not mandatory.
Correct. It's not mandatory. It's a
So-
recommendation.
The directions that were given, issue a couple of weeks ago, where that was going to be that was kind of relaxing a little bit. So that has actually changed, to being kind of like optional or encouraged. Because even at some workplaces, what they were doing, they were asking employees to submit proof of vaccination so they could kind of like not wear a mask. So even that, at the local level, have you gotten any information on that? That is also changing?
I think it's strongly recommended that you wear it, but like you mentioned, it is not mandatory. And I would think that each business will probably run there differently. So to give you a hard answer on what the status is going to be, it's going to kind of be hard. Here in the city hall, we're actually following that recommendation, and so we are wearing our mask inside. It's going to be dependent on the business themselves.
And one last thing, I don't know if it is on your purview, but as far as sharing information as to whether you're vaccinated or not, would that fall under HIPAA laws that is protected whether you want to disclose or not, whether you're vaccinated or not?
So
Yes, it is.
there's actually a couple litigations going on regarding that, because it is a medical condition, technically, it does fall in the area of the HIPAA rules. I know it's being challenged right now by several people, and I guess we'll just have to wait and see how that plays out. But there is litigation on that.
Thank you.
Maybe our attorney could answer that if we needed to. Not that he has to, I'm just saying if we wanted to, that's probably a question for him. Any other questions?
Anyone else? Ms. Romo?
No, thank
No?
you.
Thank you, Chief. Also, the couple of days ago, currently we're at the countywide of all the municipalities in Pearl County, we're at 72%. We're number 2, which is good.
Right.
So I just today I was Channel 66 giving a public service announcement to make sure we reinforce those values of wearing using the hand sanitizers, our mask, obviously practicing social distancing. So I'm really proud of the collective finally coming through, right? But
Yeah, there's
could-
like 17 counties within the state of California that fall in that 70 or more range. I think ours would actually be a little higher if the people were taking that second dose of the vaccine, yes.
Thank you, Chief.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Mayor, after consulting with our city attorney, I was reminded that there is an emergency item request for tonight's agenda. So the process would be, if this council desires to consider this emergency item, that we just have a motion, once again, approving the agenda to include this item, and obviously also include the removal of item 16 for a future agenda. And there is actually a staff report within your packets that identifies this emergency item.
Okay, do you want to talk about it a little bit? Or you wanted to move on and approve it?
Just approve.
Right?
Yeah, it has-
Make a motion to approve the emergency item. Whatever where we're gonna put it.
For the record, this
Why don't
item
you
came
put-
to our attention after the agenda got published.
Okay.
Okay.
Put
So
it on
where do you wanna
16?
Place it.
Okay. Why don't you put it on 16? No?
Yeah, the question is, where do you want to,
It could be placed after 15, given that we don't have
Yeah.
16.
Let's
That's
go
what I was
ahead
saying.
and Place it with 16.
okay, so the motion is to approve,
Second?
and second by Romo. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, all those opposed? No one, motion carried 4-0. Thank you. We're going to now, thank you, Mr. Figueroa, for that.
Mayor,
Yes.
I was just advised that Councilmember Ureña will be participating in the meeting via telephone. He'll be participating on item number 6 and on council comments only.
Okay,
we
thank
will-
you. So now we go to announcements. These proceedings may be viewed on the City Calexico website at www.calexico.ca.gov, the Friday the following city council meetings. The committee officers hours for myself, Mayor Moreno, will be held differently than we had in the past. I'm going to be open from Monday to Fridays, from 8 to 5. So anybody willing to contact me, they can set up an appointment with the city clerk's office or contact me at 619-261-1609. And I'll make the appointments, and we'll be talking there.
Can you repeat that number again, Mayor?
619-261-1609.
Sorry, 269, a little bit fast.
Thank you. Okay, so now we're moving up to public comments and public appearances. Note, not to exceed 3 minutes. This is the time for the public to address the city council on any item not appearing on the agenda that is within the subject matter of jurisdiction of our city. During the current state of emergency, public comments will be received in the following ways. 1, in the in-person comments, the mayor will recognize you, and then when you come to the microphone, please state your name and place of residence for the record. While members of the public are encouraged to participate, it is unlawful to disturb or delay the council meeting with personal or slanderous remarks. If the item you wish to comment on is a consent item, please comment now. Number 2, submit public comments via email by 2 p.m. on Wednesday, July 21st, 2021, to our clerk's office at Garcia@Calexico.ca.gov or via fax at 760-768-2103. Any comments received during or after the meeting will be distributed to the City Council and retained for the official record. The City Council is prohibited by state law from taking action or discussing items not included on the printed agenda. And I have here 3 public comments, correct, City Clerk? 3?
Yes.
Okay, so we're going to have, the first one's going to be Griselda Gonzalez, followed by Mr. Luis Casillas, and then followed by Javier Gonzalez. Griselda, you here? Yes. Thank you, please.
Good evening, members of City Council. Tonight, the POA is back requesting answers. Dispatchers for promised positions would be open until filled starting the new fiscal year. The new fiscal year started this July, and so far, other city positions have opened, applicants interviewed, positions filled, but no openings have been authorized for dispatchers. We keep getting the runarounds, fingers pointed between HR, our police chief, our finance director, and our city manager. I'm here to ask the city council, whose responsibility is it to make sure city positions are authorized and opened for qualified applicants? Like I've mentioned before, our communication center is short-staffed. We need 3 positions filled. Due to the shortage, there is a female officer temporarily assigned to dispatch, but will be going out on maternity leave soon, along with 1 full-time dispatcher. Also, going on maternity leave this September, 1 entire shift will have no dispatcher. Our comm center has not yet received direction or implemented plan for coverage. We keep getting no response, which is stressing us out, knowing we will be harassed and stalked by the department on our days off to be ordered in to cover a shift. Yes, we do get harassed and stalked at our own homes on our days off, knocks at the doors and windows, flashlights through the windows, our families being visited to check on our whereabouts, going as far as sending other agencies to look for a dispatcher not residing in the city. These issues can easily be resolved by hiring personnel and having a plan of action ready for this upcoming extra shortage, but there isn't. And I do want to remind all here present and viewing that dispatchers are essential. We are first responders. We are the first contact the public will receive. We are the voice behind the storm. In closing, I want to thank you, City Council, for the time and appeal for a resolution to this matter that affects everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Salafir. Also, thank you for your service. Okay, next is Mr. Luis Casillas.
Good evening, members of the council. I'd just like to piggyback off of what my colleague said in reference to the hiring. There's a lot of pointing fingers and nothing really gets done. And, you know, every time that this meeting starts, everyone stands there and they do this mission statement, but it's really a mockery. That's what it is. It's a mockery. Okay? There's nothing effective and efficient about the city today. Now, I understand that this council didn't bring these issues. These issues are here because of past bad decisions that other councils made. But it is your baby now. So if you really want to improve the quality of life for the people of this community as we sit there and do this mission statement at the beginning of each meeting, then we really need to start working together as a team, all 5 members, and come into some solutions. Now, I'm here to give some facts. These are facts. Our city is about 42,000 people, and it's being patrolled by 1 or 2 police officers. That's it. 1 or 2. Not only is that dangerous for the people that live here, but it's dangerous for the officers to go out there and patrol those streets. It's stressful for the dispatchers. And I'm sure that's the same case with the fire department. I can't speak for them, but I'm sure they're along those lines. The problem here is that, like every good department in Calexico, you guys are top heavy, and I'll give you an example. During a day shift, you'll have a chief of police, a lieutenant, 1 to 3 sergeants, but 1 police officer. Does anyone see something wrong with that triangle? So, I'd like to close by just saying, stop making a mockery of that mission statement, work together, and bring some resolution to the issues that we have at hand. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Luis Casillas. And now we have IID Director Javier Gonzalez.
Good afternoon, Mayor, Honorable Council, members of the public. Well, I have a little bit good news. Again, we've been working very hard. Our commitment, I'm here to report that most of the lights have been fixed. The IID is going to start a new program where they're going to report to the person reporting the status of the lights. For example, I report the lights that are off here at Heber Avenue. I don't get a report until I have to come and check every other week to see if they fixed it. So what they're going to do now is they're going to report back to that person the status of the lights. But of course, with that program, the city has to participate. The city has to do their work and tell IID, you know what, there's underground work, it's going to take some time. Then that feedback is going to go back to the reporting party. Most of the lights that are off right now, it's the responsibility of the city. Again, I'm not blaming anybody. These are problems that old underground lighting, wiring. Another thing, as we speak, the Cloak Avenue Bridge is being fenced off. That has been, people there have been asking for the last 20 years. The bridge has been closed since Monday. They'll finish tomorrow. Another thing that I want to report is the bridge at the Central Main Canal. It looked like had a lot of brush. It's being cleaned up. We contacted IID contacted Caltrans, and Caltrans is cleaning up all the way from the cemetery all the way to Cole Avenue. They're doing it right now. They're cleaning up all the debris that's in the bottom of the Central Main Canal. Beach Canal. The Beach Canal has one more step for congressional approval of the $6.4 million to close out the Beach Canal. Beach Canal is one of 4 projects in Washington that is going to be taken up maybe for approval. We're very hopeful that we're going to get the full funding. Remember, this project, the city has to pay half, and if we get it, we're not going to pay anything. So that's another good point. Tomorrow at 10 a.m., DP Duck might be here. If not, we're still going to IID still going to put the new child-friendly signs at the canal here in Calexico. You're invited. Mayor, if you want to join me, putting the first sign in Calexico. These are child-friendly signs that they're being put throughout the valley to keep kids off the canal. We proposed that because the signs that were there were mostly very official. We wanted child-friendly signs. And I had another thing. One more thing, as you know, when I ran, I said that every public servant was responsible to keeping a clean and safe community. I've been all over the city, but one thing that I've been having a lot of problems is Bernardo Trailer Park. I promised the residents there we were going to fix their lighting. It's not IID, it's the responsibility of the county. 80% of their lightings are off. Their swimming pool, it's a mess. Their community centers all dry up. You drive through the back, it's a mess. It's a mess. And the car dealership right there, why do they have a mess when we sell them? We buy cars from there. They should have a very clean lot like they have in Central. And I think the city needs to start issuing some tickets to the owners of that trailer park. I mean, it's a mess. Children shouldn't be living in those conditions. And I need your help in this effort. So if you go to the back where it ends, donde está el remate, at the end, it's a jungle there. I mean, kids shouldn't be living in those conditions. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rosales.
Thank you.
So now we go to City Manager's report, please.
Yes, Mayor, I want to report that we had a meeting as follow-up to the presentation that was done at our last meeting as it pertains to Heber Park and the firm that's working right now on the actual plans and the architecture. We're going to be having a meeting this week, I believe, so it's going to be tomorrow. It's going to be a staff meeting because we've received 2 renderings, 2 options, for which we're going to be providing feedback to the architecture firm. Expectation is, as soon as that happens, we're going to be able to come back to this council and actually do a formal presentation of the renderings and some of the options that can be considered. I want to make sure that we follow up on these projects. That's the direction that I've received, so please expect an actual visual that we'll be able to share with the community in the coming weeks. So that's coming. At this point right now, I want to call up Lisette Legaspi, our library manager. She has an update for us as it pertains to the library and the role it has within our community.
Good evening, members of the council
Good
and
evening.
staff and the public. I'm very happy to announce that we are reopening the library for limited hours, but we're going to be opening Monday through Thursday, 2 days from 10 to 2 and the other 2 days from 3 to 7, so that we can have hours in the morning and hours in the evening, so that families, if they decide to come and pick up their own books or, renew a library card and doing things like that. We are going to continue offering our summer reading program is going to, actually, we're reopening August 2nd. And we still have 2 weeks left off from the summer reading program in August, so we're going to continue with the virtual offering. But towards the middle of August, we're going to have, through a partnership with the Imperial County Free Library, we're going to start offering the Raise a Reader program. So it's going to be in-person, limited in-person programming for families with kids ages 0 to 5. We're going to have another child care services that's going to be visiting the library twice a week during August to be there in case anybody that has any questions. So little by little, we're going to continue. We're going to start opening most of our programs to in-person services. We ask the public to continue wearing masks when they come to the library. We're going to have a temperature check, hand sanitizers for them to use, and so we're looking forward to reopening and inviting the public back.
3 minutes for members.
Guys, have any questions?
Yeah, question, Ms. Legaspi. So the activities that will be taking place at the library, then it will be just to go pick up books or to, access the computers. If I'm a client, a customer, right? What can I access, or for how long? Are you limiting the amount of time? Are you doing appointments, where they can come in and use the computer for, say, half an hour or an hour, and then they have to go and, someone else come in, limiting your amount. So is there a plan
Yes.
of that nature where you're might be having a little more control as to how many people you have inside?
Yes, we're
The
going to
library?
limit the capacity to up to 20 people at a time, at the same time. Computer usage is limited to 1 hour. So we're going to have someone, monitoring who's coming, the number of people that are coming in. We're going to continue, at the moment, we're offering book bundles. So obviously, there's people cannot access the library, but they can still check out books. They can still renew library cards. We mail it to them. We email them the library card number and all that. All those services, if people do not feel comfortable still to walk into the building, we're going to continue offering that. But there's also a lot of people that have asked, when are you going to reopen? I want to go and browse and get my own books. Or I need to make a copy. Or, I want to use a computer. So we're going to make appointments for the computers. So, or as you come in, if there is a computer available, we're limiting the number of computers available at the same time, or one time. So to try to protect the public and protect ourselves, that's our main priority, secure the safety of everyone. So we're going to continue following, the county guidelines or the CDC guidelines as to, that's why we're requiring people to continue wearing the mask. And as I said, we're going to start little by little offering our in-person programs. We're going to start with this partnership with the county libraries. And hopefully by September, we're going to start, resuming our own programming, our story times and craft activities, and we'll see how things go.
Thank you. Glad to hear that it's reopening.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Liseth.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, as I continue with my report, I want to add that yesterday I received confirmation from the California Environmental Protection Agency, in which they notified me that the New River Improvement Project as a whole was accepted to be considered a list of projects under the Federal Water Resource Development Act. What this means is that our 3 infrastructure projects for the New River here in Calexico are going to receive a streamlined process to secure the regulatory permit for construction from the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. This will fast-track us securing the permit for the project, and it will keep us within the timeline that we've been sharing, in which we want to break ground by the end of the year.
Okay, great.
The last item that I have pertains to PPE that we will make available to the community and businesses. through our collaborative with the Imperial Valley Small Business Development Center. Today, our Public Works Yard received a pallet of face masks that we will be distributing as needed to City Hall and the Fire Department, so we can have those locations be access points for any business, any member of our community that wishes to get PPE. They'll be able to contact us. We'll be able to direct them either to City Hall or to the fire station so they can obtain whatever it is that they need. The reason I say that we haven't started yet is because we're going to put together a flyer, English and Spanish, with information that we're going to use our social media page and our city website to let businesses and the community know that they can access that PPE. With that said, if there's any questions, that concludes my report.
Mr. Figueroa, thank you for your report. What does that consist of, those pallets? What, hand sanitizers?
At this point right now, the pallet that we received today is actually N95 masks, such like the ones that we're wearing, that we will make available. Aside from that, we have a substantial amount of hand sanitizers that are on a limited basis, but that we will offer. One of the things that I want to be clear is that for staff, for the departments, we've secured the PPE that we need, and that anything extra that we have, we need and we will make available to the community and businesses if they so desire.
Thank you. Also, along those lines, I'd like to piggyback on one thing. Last Friday I was here at the office, and there's a lady who came in and had a water bill. Actually, it was water bill for $257.44, and there was nobody here. So I saw her, got her in there, and I talked to her. And I believe we do have some funds for those type of people who are struggling to pay the water bill. Can you elaborate a little bit more on that? Because she had no clue. Also, in terms of that, I'd like to have at least City Hall open on Fridays. We're not open. We're hoping to at least have a skeleton crew to address, because I was out there and there's people coming in and they're just showing around. And there's people in distress, and we do have funds for that. So I believe we should be doing more outreach and facilitate that, so they won't have to come here and just turn around and, and help them pay the water bill.
Initially, several months ago, we received some relief funds from the County of Imperial to address the delinquent water accounts that we have in the city. We advertised at the time, English, Spanish, website, social media. We did get people coming in to take advantage of the program. However, moving forward, I received a call from a partner agency, Campesinos Unidos to be precise, in which, as we've known historically, they provide subsidy to people either with their electric bill, their water bill, or any other need they may have. So one of the things that came up as a result of that call with the administration of Campesinos was, please let those people know, because a lot of people from Calexico were going over, that the city does have the funds to assist through the relief program that we have to help those people. So one of the things that has resulted is that this week, and my staff can attest to this, I think for the past 10 days, we've received a great number of people that my office, the city manager's office, qualifies for their relief monies, and we communicate with the Department of Finance, and as a team with the client, we work to make sure that we honor, if they qualify, the monies to their delinquent account. So that's helped out a lot, which has led us to once again, I would say within this week at the latest, begin to re-advertise once again. Even though the word of mouth is already out there, we are still going to re-advertise because we have the monies for that. I also want to bring up that through the CDBG CB1 funds that we received, which is $170,000, for which the state already approved, that's another option that we have to offer our community relief on their utilities. That's a different process because we need to follow the state guidelines as to how we vet those that will qualify. But again, That's another source of money that we have to assist residents and businesses.
Okay, so now, in terms of that lady, her bill was paid, right?
As a matter of fact, I got confirmation from our finance manager. As soon as Monday came in, the information was passed on. She came in, and she qualified actually for the relief program. So whatever was past due was brought up to present time, and she paid the most recent month that she owed out of her pocket. So she's a perfect example of someone that qualified.
Thank you. I have nothing else on this.
Yes, just going back to that, Miguel. Well, we know who's in arrears of their utility bill, at least their water.
Yeah.
So we already have a list of people. And I know we might not have the staff, but if we can, remember, this is for our own, I mean, I don't want to put it, for our own benefit. But we know who needs or who's owing money. So we already have a list. So can we start calling those individuals? Maybe finding out, because yes, we can continue to advertise. And there's a lot of advertisements about whether it's rental assistance, utilities, but we already know who is in that predicament or who is already in that issue of owing, water. So just call them up, simple as that. And so that's on the one end. But just to go back, so this funding, is this the one from the county, or is this the one that we had approved back in, I want to say, almost a year ago, or about 8 months ago? With the previous council, we were looking at rental and even utilities. If you can just bring me back to that.
Absolutely. So when what you allude to, when the council approved the resolution for us to submit the application, we were able to do that. However, the approval process from the state was kind of slow. We just received the approval to expend those monies a couple of months back. In the meantime, we've been using the relief monies from the county.
Okay.
Initially, when the relief monies from the county came in, the finance department picked up the phone and started calling each of those people that could potentially qualify because of COVID-19 and the effects of it. Those that did acknowledge and wanted to receive the relief funds did come in. There were others that either may not have picked up, we left messages, didn't get back to us. So one of the things that we're doing now that we saw this uproar once again of people coming in and taking advantage, we are fielding the calls now at the city manager's office. And and there's one thing that I do want to point out, and thank you for your question. I just received a report this week from the finance director that the number of delinquent accounts that we have has already met the norm to pre-COVID-19 days. Meaning we still have delinquent accounts that we can benefit through these funds from, but it's now down to a point that it's at the levels that we can say are considered average as it pertains to the municipality. Again, that doesn't take away that we strive for a little more and try to even get those as well.
Yeah, and I understand that, and I understand meeting those thresholds, but what I want to meet is meeting the needs of the people.
Yes.
Right? Regardless of whatever threshold we might have as a city or where we find ourselves now, but it's still people still are in need, and there is funding regardless of where that comes from. So and we know where we have our data that we have access to and reach out. So
absolutely,
if we can just move on that.
I would like to add on,
Yes.
Miguel, since we know who the people that are delinquent. Is there any way we could, when the bill goes out, is there any information on what's available for them?
That's a great point, Councilwoman. We can definitely consider finding an efficient way to do a short one-pager, so we don't get too elaborate, but we let them know what's out there for them to benefit from.
I would think so. They're saying their bill, and then the delinquent. I mean,
Absolutely.
I
Yes.
think that's the way to
Yes,
to
we
reach
can.
them.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you.
Ms. Romo, you have anything?
Ya, es que...
Okay, so you're waiting on it?
Ureña, no. Te va a marcar. I don't know.
No, you don't have anything from Mr. Figueroa?
Okay.
You do have something? You done?
Mr. Ureña.
So Ms. Ureña has something?
That's my report, unless
Yeah,
there's
sure.
other
I
questions.
think Mr. Ureña had something. for
Oh,
us.
okay, I'm sorry.
Okay, so we'll move forward. Mr. Romo, you have anything for him? No, you don't? Okay, thank you.
I don't know.
Well, thank you, Mr. Figueroa, for your report. So now we got to the city council comments and reports of meetings attended. We'll start here with Mr. Romo.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor. I would like to highlight the importance of the meeting with the controller of the state of California, Ms. Betty G. And thank you, Ms. Angelica Tellache, for making it is possible. We now know that all small businesses can have financial resources and viable SBA advice. Please visit the City of Calexico website for more information, or with Miguel Figueroa too. And second, in this 3 week ago, IID Director Javier Gonzalez has publicly said that some trailers complexes that exist in Calexico 4 are very abandonadas. Las 4. I have contact Supervisor Jesus Escobar and the city manager to resolve this issue jointly. We have, again, 4 trailer complexes within the city of Calexico. Mr. Figueroa, please could you provide more information on this matter at our next meeting? And 3, I have received some calls from the people who live in the complex where there used to be a Hollis Hotel. The complaints are for the insecurity and domestic violence of the people who live in the complex. I wonder if we are going to continue building low-income complexes. We must ensure that people can live with dignity without fear about all. I asked Mr. Figueroa to provide us with a report of what is happening in this complex, please, for the next meeting. That's it, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Romo. Mr. Garcia?
No report.
Mrs. Arreola?
Okay, all I have is, I want to thank the IED Director, Mr. Gonzalez, for the 2,000 donation that was given to us for our Recreation Department. Thank you for your support. That's all I have.
Thank you. I do have a couple of things of interest. I did meet with two ladies from the they live over by All Street on the B.B. Williams, San Tomas, across the street. The main complaint was that they can't sleep because there's a lot of trucks going by there. Sometimes they even park there with reefers. Reefers, so it's a truck, semi-truck with has a refrigerator, so noise all night. But long story short, I did reach out to our acting chief of police, Lieutenant Serrano, and he did show up, and he did take care of the matter. So my point of reference is this: is that there is currently, thank you. There is currently, I believe, law that allows those trucks to go by there because they can't. They actually crowd across from Cole Road all the way to 98, as opposed to maybe look into the rezoning that. That'll definitely go a long ways. And not only, but they came over representing the whole neighborhood there. And I did speak to them. I said I will talk to the city manager and I the public works manager, maybe address that through potential rezoning. At least certainly extra patrol. I know Lieutenant Serrano had said that they do get citations out there, and potentially the ladies were identifying those people that probably live there in the area. So that's a matter of concern for the citizens there, especially in the night. So that's one thing. I did go to Channel 66, and they allowed us to do a 30-second public service announcement in terms of what the city been doing in terms of COVID-19. And actually, I gave those data that our chief, fire chief, had spoke earlier. What they want to do is they want to invite us over, and I would certainly invite my cohorts here, maybe take some opportunity to see a different phase. What they want to do is every Wednesday at 9:30, go up in the comments. They're live, and we do have a population of Mexicali that live over there, the essential workers, some even retirees of it. So it's important that our message is positive, right? It's hand sanitizing, wear masks, wash your shoulders and seats, especially if our numbers are already at 70%, which is outstanding, right? That is something good to report. Also, I did speak. We did have a meeting with earlier with the CBP in terms of opening up the border, and of course we already know they're not going to open July 21st, and they're going to kick the can down the road for next month. So it's on a need-to-know basis as we want. But certainly, I believe Mexico did get like 1 million vaccinations. That's going to help out a lot to vaccinate those people at the border. So the sooner we have those people healthy and we can open the border for that reason, because we are struggling in terms of revenues, as you all know. And that's all I have.
Mayor, I have Councilmember Ureña on the line.
Okay.
Go ahead, sir.
Hello.
Go ahead, sir.
Thank you. Hello, City Council people, my fellow City Council members and members of the public. Before I begin my City Council comments, I would like to just reiterate that I'm not very happy with the elimination of Zoom as an opportunity for the public to participate. We still have a lot of people who are in illness. This is a city in which most of the residents cannot, without a vehicle, cannot get to City Council. Not everybody can read and write at a proficient enough level or use email at a proficient enough level to get a public comment in. Zoom is being talked about at a state level to open access to people who don't have access to meetings, and to see us as a city voluntarily step back on that and go back into days where less people have access to the meetings is not a good step forward. Going into the substance of my comments, today is my last day of quarantine. I am recovering from COVID-19, from what seems to be the Delta virus. I am not ashamed to say that I got sick. I could have been more careful, but I am happy to share with the community that what my recovery experience has been like. I am recovering as a person that is young. I am recovering as a person with asthma. I am recovering as a person who has been vaccinated. And this recovery has not been a cakewalk, but thanks to the vaccine, I am making it through this COVID illness. If you have been reading recently the national statistics, 99% of all COVID deaths recently have been of unvaccinated people. Even if you are vaccinated, you can still get sick. You will still get symptoms. It can even still feel like a very heavy illness. But with the vaccine, you are more than likely to make it, especially with this Delta virus that is becoming more common across the nation and across the state. Because of this illness, because of what I am coming out of, I have empathized, but now I can empathize even more deeply with what the people of Calexico have been going through as one of the most infected cities in the most infected counties throughout this pandemic. I can empathize with what it means to go through COVID in poverty conditions that are so common for many Calexicans. You have a lot of Calexicans that are living in multi-family households where multiple families are in one household, and there is sometimes not enough space to quarantine a sick person. our city does not have enough adequate access to healthy foods. The only thing that we have to celebrate over this last year is the opening of 2 new fast food places. That is not progress. Taco Bell is not progress. We have some of the highest asthma rates in the country, some of the highest obesity rates in the country and in the state. The interruption to salaries from low-wage jobs. I'm very saddened that the city of Calexico was so late and incomplete in protecting the renters, especially the low-income renters of this city. We can still do so much more as this pandemic is not over to protect Calexico citizens' health and well-being, but also their economic future that is now, at this point, still in peril for many. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ureña. Anything else?
Mayor Moreno?
Yes.
At this point right now, before we proceed with our agenda, I'm going to have our city clerk provide an update on an item related to the training for commissioners, so we can learn about the progress of that important item, please.
Okay, the upcoming commission meetings, we will be having a training on July 29th, and we will be sending it out to all commissioners, and the training will be on the Brown Act, ethics, and agenda basics, so the commissioners can get familiar with the agendas and how to carry that through. We haven't announced the second meeting, but it will be to discuss the municipal code changes that are being brought forth. They will be coming to you probably at the next meeting. And then following that, we will have individual meetings with each commission to address the changes and to also address and discuss the roles, duties, and jurisdictions of each individual commission.
Gabby, can you repeat when this is going to start, please?
It'll start on July 29th.
Thank you.
We will probably have 2 meetings throughout the day, one during the day and one at 5:30 in the evening for the people that work.
Gabby, I would appreciate if you will send out the schedule to us. I think that would be helpful.
We will be issuing a flyer probably by tomorrow.
Oh, okay.
To
Thank you.
everyone, and it'll be distributed to all the commissions, and it will be sent to you too.
Okay, yes, is that also include the ethics training they get online? The 1-year thing, you know?
We will be discussing the ethics training. Most of the commissioners have already taken the ethics training, but it will be addressed again.
All right, thank you. Anything else? No?
Thank you, Mayor.
All right, we do have a consent agenda, but before, I believe there's, we have one public comment on it, and Mr. Ureña want to say something on one item, number 6.
What? Sorry.
So,
I'm sorry.
So I'm saying the consent agenda, there was 2 individuals who want to speak on item number 6. I'm sorry, 6.
There's a comment for item number 6.
Actually, two people want to speak on it.
If you'd like to pull it off the agenda, is that the question?
No, they want to
No.
speak on it.
They want to speak on the item.
Well, you haven't taken up the consent agenda yet. If you pull those off the consent agenda, then they can speak on them. Right now, you're at the consent agenda, so you need to either approve the consent agenda, or you can pull items off the consent agenda.
Right.
To be discussed.
But I don't know, you're going to say something around item number 6?
No, I just want to go ahead and motion for approval of the agenda, so there can be a second, and then we'll get into the comments, right?
Well,
Is
the
that correct?
motion would just be on adopting the consent
Correct.
agenda,
Correct.
not on discussing the items.
Yeah, we're
If
just
you
going to
want to
approve it.
discuss an item, that item
No,
should be
they're
pulled.
just, they're just public comments, you know,
Right,
not
but-
discussing.
Well, during public comment time, it's for items that are not on the agenda.
Oh,
Yeah, because we have Mr. Ruiz Casillas wants to speak on item number 6, correct?
It's still on the agenda, correct?
Yes.
It's part of the consent agenda.
Right.
It's in consent
And
agenda.
if you'd like to pull it off so that it can be discussed and not approved
Okay,
as part
so
of the consent agenda.
I don't, I want to vote on it.
It-
Because that particular item is already set to go. We already had the first reading, and this is set to go, so,
I think the matter before the council is whether to approve the consent agenda or to take items off of the consent agenda for further discussion.
okay, then I'll make a motion to approve the agenda, consent agenda.
You can
Anybody second that?
all consent agenda?
Yes.
I have different vote for the consent agenda.
I know, but there's a
Lawyer.
motion on the floor.
It says for,
Okay, so we'll second that, now we'll take a vote. All right, so all in favor say aye. Aye?
Aye.
no?
No? So one opposed, 3 to 1, motion carried.
Ureña. Oh,
So we're moving on, right?
If there's you need to take the call for the roll call on the vote. If there's a
yeah,
first and
I
a second.
have different vote for.
Well, we did, we
number
just voted
3,
3
4, 5,
and 1.
6.
You want to make, okay, let's make a roll call. But we just voted 3-1. I called it already.
Okay, Councilmember Arreola Fernandez,
Aye.
your vote. Councilmember Garcia,
Aye.
Mayor Moreno,
Aye.
Councilmember Romo,
No.
Councilmember Ureña,
I have discussion on item number 6. I would like this to be pulled. Hello?
The motion, as I understand it, the
I have
motion and
discussion
second
on item
is to
number
approve the
6.
consent
I would
agenda.
like to,
That's the note, that's what's being voted on.
And that's
So
already
we need his
voted.
vote, we need his vote, yes or no?
I think we're taking the vote now.
Yeah, so the question is, Ms. Urania, yes or no?
Councilmember Ureña, the question is your vote on the consent agenda?
I have discussion on item number 6.
That's not the motion, we're
Answer
voting.
him.
There's a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda.
It was already passed.
We have a motion and a second to approve the agenda, consent agenda, the entire consent agenda.
I vote no.
Thank you, sir.
So it's 3-2. Okay, motion passed, 3-2. Thank you. So we did have an items pulled for consent agenda calendar discussion, right? We don't. So now we got
Well,
this, I'm sorry?
I believe when you approved the
The consent agenda.
agenda,
As is?
It was approved. Everything was approved.
that was approved. There were no items
Not
pulled
pulled,
off of the
right.
consent agenda.
Okay, so moving forward, I had discussion and potential action items. We're going moving up to item number 7, authorize city manager to sign agreement of professional services between Dynamic Consulting Engineers Incorporated and the city of Calexico for construction management, geotechnical and inspection services for the Calexico New River Parkway project plans, IB Federal Project number HPLUL-5168, parentheses 015, parentheses, period.
Mr. Mayor, as a presentation for the item, this governing body awarded the contract for construction of Phase 1B of the New River Parkway project in recent meetings. One of the practices, per your direction, that we're instilling for all projects is that we also go out and solicit proposals for the management of the construction of the projects. So with this project, at this point, the Public Works Department, per the request for proposals that was issued, received 2 bids, and the recommendation after review and assessment of the proposals is that the construction management for Phase 1B of the New River project go to Dynamic Consulting Engineers. This firm qualified and met all the elements identified in the RFP that was issued. And at this point, the resources that we have for this particular practice are within budget of the proposal that was received by Dynamic. If there's any comments or questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Thank you. Just for a point of reference, we do get briefed before this meeting, so I am fairly aware of, I have no concerns, issues, whatever, but I am going to make a motion to approve item 7. Any a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Arreola. All those in favor? Aye? Aye.
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 Okay, motion carried 4-0. Thank you. Item number 8. The City Council of the City of Calexico, acting in its capacity as the legislative body for the Calexico Community Facilities District number 2013-1, parentheses, Varang Plaza, adopt resolution number 2021, authorizing the levy of special taxes with an improvement area number 1 of such district for fiscal year 2021-2022.
Yes, this is a procedural practice per the ordinance that was approved in 2013 when this CFD got approved for Grand Plaza. The levying of this tax will help pay for the items identified within the staff report. These elements are the items that were identified in the ordinance from 2013 for why which this CFD was put in place. This, if the action and decision of this body is to proceed with the approval, it would be congruent with the obligation to adopt this on an annual basis so the CFD can be recovered and paid for. One thing that I do want to point out is that this is a 30-year CFD. It was issued in 2013. It was approved in 2013, meaning that it has a lifespan up to 2043. If there's any specific comments or questions, we have our finance director here with us in case we need further clarification on the item.
Thank you, Mr. Figueroa. I make a motion to approve item number 8. Need a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Camilo Garcia. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
No.
Okay, 3-1, motion carried. Next item, number 9, authorize city manager to file notice completion for 2nd Street, Dual Avenue, and Beach Avenue water pipeline replacement project.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, we have our Public Works Manager here with us. This item and the 2 following items are final notices of completion on projects that City Council approved. In particular, item 9 pertains to the 2 8-inch water line pipelines that were replaced precisely on the areas that you mentioned right now on the subject line that you read. One thing that I do want to point out is that these projects are inspected for completion before the final notice comes to your attention. I do want to say that these 2 8-inch water pipelines are and were connected to the existing services the city offers, as well as the fire hydrants that we have in the vicinity of the area where the project was done. One of the things that I just want to entertain that these are replacement water pipelines. These aren't pipelines that broke, but the nature of them being too old, we're now able to implement a replacement project. So as a result of that, a lot of this work actually happened here on the east side of City Hall, just to put things into perspective. And a lot of the things that we saw was, a lot of the questions that we got from the public was, okay, once you guys complete, are you guys going to repave the street? And yes, that work also has to get done. And I believe that one of the other items that came up was making sure that we also provided proper notice of the projects, making sure that we help educate the people if some of these projects are going to affect the area where they live, just so they can have proper notice. Those are things that our Public Works Department does, but indeed those are some of the elements in which we communicate with the people that we can improve moving forward. With that said, if there's any comments or questions, I'll be happy to address them, or our Public Works Manager who's here with us.
Yeah, I just want to ask, how much of preventive maintenance we know, and I remember, years, throughout the years hearing that, we're still always behind in trying to, replace, right, before they, break, right? How much of preventive maintenance are we doing? Is there a schedule? Is there a plan? And if not, I would like to see how we can get on that, making sure that, we get on a plan, instead of waiting for an emergency to happen and go for a repair and doing a maintenance, instead of that.
Ms. Jaramillo, can you provide some detail on that, please?
Yes, good evening, Mayor, Council. About 2 years ago, the Public Works Department did a water master plan. So in the master plan, we were able to see what water lines we need to replace, how old they were, and what additional water lines we would need to install for any future projects. So we base the improvements on the water master plan, as well as we keep a list of any type of emergency breaks that our distribution crew has to do. So we also use that as a guideline when we do water improvement projects. Our water distribution crew does a flushing system program where they go and they open the valves, make sure the water is flowing. They also do the fire hydrants to make sure that the water is flowing when the fire department needs to use them. So they do a flushing program. It's once a month, of course, in different areas within the city.
Okay, thank you. And I think I really like that idea, and that's something that I had shared with you, Miguel, that, proper notices of work that is to be done in any streets in our city or area, so people can make necessary adjustments, or even just to see what's going on, what's going on in their vicinity. I think it just helps, people know that, something has been done, what's the timeline also, because that's something, just like Mayor, Moreno stated, that you get those phone calls or people approaching you and say, well, you know what, my street has been, worked on for, quite a few weeks or months. So when can I see a completion date, or when are we going to go back to some normalcy? But if we can work on those timelines, I know that these are movable, but if we could just do the proper signage or at least notices to them, that would be helpful.
Mayor Pro Tem, one idea that comes to mind right away is taking advantage of our 3 CMS boards that were purchased, that we could potentially use in certain locations, so we can communicate that way as well.
Correct.
Thank you.
Okay, anything else? Anybody else? No? Okay, I'll make a motion to approve item number 9. Anybody second it?
Second.
Second by Councilwoman Arriola. Then all those in favor? Aye, aye.
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 Okay, motion carried 4-0. Thank you. Item number 10, authorize city manager to file notice of completion for installation of fire alarm system at City Hall and Camarena Memorial Library.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, Signal Systems was the company that ended up receiving the contract to replace the fire alarm system at City Hall and also at the Camarena Library. At least what I can say is that the alarm system that City Hall had was the same one since City Hall was built in the mid-90s. In other words, we were in dire need of an upgrade for the protection not only of our staff members but of the community as well, given that both are public facilities, the Camarena Library and City Hall. I'm happy to share that not only was the work completed, but also staff members within the city were trained as to how to monitor and access the new system, which is obviously leaps and balances as it pertains to technology, higher compared to the previous one. So that is now in place, and we're happy to share with not only the members of the council, but also the community, that now these facilities have an upgraded fire system.
Thank you. Any comments?
No.
No? I make a motion to approve item number 10. Anybody second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Garcia. All those in favor? Aye, aye.
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 Motion carried 4-0. Thank you. Item number 11, authorize city manager to file notice of completion for sport lighting at Adrian C. Cordova Memorial Park project number 2020-400.
At our last meeting, we received an update presentation from Public Works Manager Liliana Falomir on this item. It was also brought to the attention of the governing body that we should be anticipating this item, because the contractor that was selected to perform the duties to bring the sport lighting to the 3 to the 3 baseball fields, the soccer field, and the basketball court was about to be completed. If we also recall at the time, there was one specific request that the council made as it pertained to some of the additional trenches that had to get done for future electrical needs that we're going to have, like for the lighting board, the concession stand, as we move forward with the project. Those things, as it was directed and recommended by the council, were performed. So at this time right now, we're bringing an end as it pertains to the work, to the lighting for this particular sports areas that I referenced right now for Córdoba. On another note, moving forward, one of the things here that I also want to share is that the ground is getting prepped, so we can be possibly seeding very soon, and we could potentially be having some grass as it pertains to the fall and winter of this upcoming season. One of the items that came up, and Councilman Garcia, if you allow me to raise it, because it's an important item, where we have right now the poles, given that we don't have a finished field yet, if there was the possibility of just providing some type of protection, so we could potentially avoid some problems, some injuries, some accidents. So those are things that we can definitely look at with the Public Works Department to see how we can help address them.
Yeah. So, and with that, I'd like to, congratulate that, finally, things, and it's not, I don't want to say finally, but, we're seeing that, we're getting somewhere, completion, and kudos to all those people that have been involved now with the lighting, with this, item that we have in front of us. But then also, our last meeting, I was also very encouraging to hear that finally we will have maybe some sort of soft opening, towards the end of this year, because, those fields are badly needed. You go out there and you talk to, that community, the citizens that are playing ball, where they want to play ball year round and having access to facilities. So I think this is great. And yes, I did, suggest to, City Manager Figueroa that, even though, it is what it is, it was planned in stages. Personally, I'm not too happy with that, but, we have to move on. So now at least to protect, whatever is not going to be finished with some sort of fencing or temporary fencing, so we can open up, so we can make it accessible to our community. But again, kudos and looking forward to continue to getting updates on this and any other project that we're working on, because we want to see that, things are happening and that the citizens can see them and can enjoy them also, because that's the reason why they're paying for this. So thank you for that update. And then also, I'm glad to see that finally they put back that on the, I guess the slide or whatever that is called, that it was repaired. So that was something that I actually saw it, and it's good to see it that, there's also a plan for repairing. And that's something that to keep in mind. We build our facilities and let's make sure that there is a constant upkeep and that we keep them in proper working order. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Garcia. Anybody else?
No, thank
No?
you.
Mr. Roma?
No, so moved.
Thank you.
No.
I'll make a motion to approve item number 11. Oh, sorry.
So
You
moved.
You moved? Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye? Aye.
Who is second?
No.
I don't know.
No,
Oh, I see. I take it. She seconded. Right.
Okay.
She
Aye.
seconded.
Aye.
So it's motion carried for all. Thank you. Item number 12, authorize city manager to sign change order number 2 with Hazard Construction Company in the amount of $460,888.78 for the street improvement project asphalt rubber composite layer overlay on designated streets, project number 2020-500.
Mr. Mayor, as you rightfully mentioned, we discuss in detail all the items when we conduct our briefings. On this item in particular, there are a couple of things that I want to point out. Part of the change order are elements that were removed from the original scope and elements that were added through the actual construction of the project. Especially, I do want to point out to the discussion and analysis section of the staff report that identifies the streets in our city that received additional work in terms of improvements to curbs, in terms of improvements to sidewalks, in terms of ADA compliant infrastructure fixes that were done. are outlined here. I also do want to point out that this will be the final change order for this project. There will be no additional change orders as it pertains to the work that was done by Hazard Construction. And at this point, I do also want to point out that the local transportation authority sales tax bond was used to offset some of the costs, some of the additional costs that were incurred to perform the improvements to the streets that I mentioned. So with that said, we have our Public Works Manager here with us to assist if there are any comments or questions that need to be addressed.
Thank you, Mr. Figueroa. Any comments, questions?
So, Miguel, would this complete this project? Would this change order, approve this change order, would that be the end of this project?
That is correct, Councilman.
Okay. And then just so, as we get ready for the next round of streets improvement,
Yes.
if we can just somehow, again, remind people, because I had asked before as to how people can voice their I guess, concerns or needs, opportunities for them to get their, streets, work done.
Their input, right? So we can,
Yes,
okay.
yes. So we can just somehow make it available, make it known to people that they can call, because to me, that was what I was told, that based on how many times you call or message, and so hopefully they can just start calling, and even ourselves, as we go out, I can point out to a few streets, but I'll let the citizens also have a say, and they should have a say as to what gets done also. So,
Do you have priorities? I'm sorry.
No, go ahead,
Yeah.
Madam.
Yeah, is there priorities? That's another thing. Because, as we drive around, there is streets, and like you said, Pro Tem Garcia, that we do get calls from residents that the streets are really, really bad. And it seems like they say, they never get to them. They're working on the street across the town instead of ours. So is there a procedure do you follow? Do you take into consideration when people call? How much consideration do you take? I mean, I don't think that we have to have, residents call 5 times in order to get our attention. I hope that's not happening, but.
No, we do, we get calls on a daily basis
Okay.
of residents that want their street to be overlaid. So what we do is we do the pavement analysis to make sure that, in fact, the street needs to be paved, as well as to see what type of level of pavement is needed, or level of asphalt is needed. So we also see that, plus we also see the water and the sewer lines, if they are up to date, because of course we don't want to pave a street and then in 6 months to 2 years have to open the street up to do any type of water improvements. So we do see the utilities, we see the pavement, as well as we see the sidewalks that are on the street to make sure that we replace if there is any type of broken sidewalks, or if they don't have ADA ramps. So we do look at all of that. As Mayor Pro Tem Camilo said, we are actually starting to work on our 2022 street improvement project. So if there's any community members that would like to include their street, please give us a call at Public Works and we can add it to the street. Of course, making sure that we have enough funding, making sure that the street also needs to be overlaid, and then we can proceed in including it in our project if there's available funding. But we'll go ahead and prepare a flyer and put it in our social media pages and city website.
Yeah, so we can do that, or even somehow where we can make it available to them, and making sure that, again, this is not something that, like you said, we have to look at other things, other probably additional work that has to be done. But nonetheless, I think, there's a lot of the streets in Calexico, they need a lot of work, and, sidewalks and, many other things. We know that. But if we can just, ourselves, as a staff, as council, I can tell you, I drive around, I walk around, and I see, and I make it known to the city manager. But again, this is open also to the citizens, and let's be open to that. Let's be considerate of that and cognizant of that when we're planning our next round of, street overlays and improvements. So.
Yeah, we tried to do, I guess, what you can say, I see it as the four quadrants of the city because of Highway 111, 98. So we try to do a little bit on the east, we try to do a little west, so everybody can get the opportunity of having resurfaced streets.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else?
No.
No? Thank you. I make a motion to approve item number 12. Anybody second? Anybody second that?
Second.
Okay, second by Riola Fernandez. All those in favor? Aye? Aye?
Aye.
Aye?
Aye.
Aye?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, motion carried 4-0. Thank you very much. Item number 3, approve and authorize city manager to sign the enclosed non-exclusive license agreement with Catholic Charities.
This is a very straightforward item per the staff report. You see the benefit of having Catholic Charities enter an agreement with the city. With that said, I want to call up the recreation manager so she can elaborate a little more on the benefits of having Catholic Charities perform these duties for the senior citizens in Calexico.
Good evening, Mayor, council members,
Good evening.
staff, and members of the public. Catholic Charities first had an interest of using our facilities back in 2019. They entered into a very similar non-exclusive agreement, and they've used the facilities to provide hot meals to senior citizens. It's an outside program. It's not run by the city of Calexico, and it's not run by my staff. They just use the facilities. Their program runs, they have staff members there from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. That's the time they use the senior hall. And our seniors already know they have, they call it La Cafeteria. They call it La Cafeteria. They know they're going to be served there. They expressed interest back into last year. They obviously closed because we were closed as well due to COVID. So now they want to get into another non-exclusive agreement. We're more than excited to have them back.
Okay.
Thank you. Yes, any questions?
If I can just say, so there's an annual rent payments of 13,200, correct? So I know we need to, get as much revenue as possible, but also I see a need. And one thing that I said during our budget, our hearings, is that, some of the revenue that is generated should go to departments. And I know, and please don't, the rest of the departments, don't take it as something personal, but we know that, for this year, the senior citizens didn't get, funding, from
Yeah.
other agency. How about we put this back into that, put it back into senior citizen services? Or some of this, at least whatever help offset some of the costs that is, already included, whether it's cleanup,
Clean up.
do that, and then whatever is left, put it back into senior, services to the senior citizens. It's not a lot, and it's not what you usually used to get, but it's something. So I think, if we can look into that, if it is possible, or fiscally, if it doesn't prevent us from doing that, I think this is something that, should be considered.
I can definitely follow up on your recommendation with staff, and I can come back and report.
And since you're standing up there, question,
Yes.
is the community center being rented out again?
We will start getting people reserving the community halls starting this Friday.
There's a protocol and procedure that we're going to be looking into with staff,
Okay.
so we can go ahead and do that.
Okay, because I think our community needs to be aware of it.
Yes.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Anything, Ms. Romo? No?
No.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
So move for approval of item 13.
Okay.
Second.
Oh, yeah.
Second by Ms. Romo. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye?
Aye.
Aye?
Aye.
Aye. 4-0, thank you. Motion carried. Item number 14, removal of Calexico Police Advisory Commission appointee by Councilmember Ureña.
It's possible, Mayor, table, because it's probably no removal. the person for the community.
Okay, so no action table.
How's that?
No action table. So she's rescinding, possibly rescinding, so doesn't want to.
I think that the situation is that the council member is not
It's not here.
present at the time.
Okay,
Yeah.
so it has to be tabled?
Is that correct, Seth?
That's right. This action is required by the council member, and if the council member's not here,
Yeah,
then
I know.
they can't take the action.
Okay.
So,
Okay, thank you, council. Moving up to item number
15.
15, appointed by Mayor Moreno and Councilmember Romo to the Sales Tax Citizen Advisory Committee, Measure H. And how many, we have one, two?
It's one?
How many applications we have?
Two
One?
application. No? No,
None? We didn't get nobody?
no, nobody.
Okay, all right, thank you. Moving forward. I see, well, we tabled item number 16, but we did include an emergency item, correct?
Yes,
Okay.
so,
Would you elaborate on that, Mr. Figueroa?
Yes, so we received this item after our agenda got published, and as you can see per the copy that we left, this pertains to out-of-state travel for training for 2 officers from the Calexico Police Department, and this training is specific for the active shooter threat instructor training. So at this time, given that this is a time-sensitive matter, as to the training is going to take place next month, and the proper accommodations need to take place, I took it upon my authority to bring this to your attention so we can have all the accommodations done on time if this council so desires to move forward and approve.
Any
I have no
discussion?
problem.
No discussion?
No, so move.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Okay.
Okay, motion carried for all. Before we adjourn, is there any future items, agenda item, Mrs. Romo?
Only 2 presentation about the insecurity for the police complex, and then a general presentation on the situation for the 4 trailers complexes. That's it.
Mr. Moreno, I also have here something you noted as it pertains to the area of Las Casitas as we know it,
Right.
and heavy trucks driving by. That's something that I can look into with my staff and provide the proper accommodation to address that.
Okay, Mr. Garcia?
A couple of things. At the last meeting also had asked, and I think, Director Gonzalez also mentioned about Caltrans cleaning up, 111. So I asked to be provided an update or documents as to what's the agreement with Caltrans as far as cleaning 111 from 98 all the way to, I think it's Cole Road, or even past that. So because I've seen that our crews are there, I mean, that's 111, that's a state highway. So what's the agreement with them, if any? Or if we're getting reimbursed, or what's going on there?
So what we could do is, if you oblige, what we can do is bring the maintenance agreements that the city has with Caltrans throughout Calexico, just so we can have an understanding as to who does what areas are covered, and how the cost is addressed.
Yes, because with that, I want to make sure that we address at least
No, urge.
the cleanup, the maintenance, the trash pickup. So whatever needs to happen, because that's our city, that's through our entrance and our exit also. And I think, and all throughout the city should be clean. So that, I'm very interested in finding out what's going on, what's the situation there. Also, I think, Mayor Moreno mentioned something about trucks. So I know that probably this is not going to be popular, but I want to see how we can look into, pretty sure there's an ordinance, and if there is no ordinance, we can look into maybe creating one. I've seen a lot of, heavy trucks, rigs, parked, through our city. 98, Clove Road, park, overnight, sometimes even on Imperial Avenue. So,
That's right.
and even in some residential areas. Again, it's not popular, but I think it's a matter of safety also. I get quite a few phone calls on that because you do have, people, and I don't blame them, they're doing business, but bringing, cars that they buy in auctions and parking of residential areas, all those transport cars that they use in parking in residential areas. So I think that's a liability. That's something that is deteriorating our streets also. So we can look into that, and we can look into maybe some code enforcement or whatever needs to go in there. And maybe just do, rounds, because yes, people have gone, or code enforcement has gone out, but sometimes they're not there. So that's on one. And then also, I want to go back and look at code enforcement also of cleanup of properties. And that's throughout our city, whether it's downtown, Imperial Avenue, throughout. There are a lot of, properties that are in disrepair, that are really not safe. It is my understanding that there was some sort of agreement with the company a few years back, as far as the enforcement. If we can go back and revisit that. Again, this is not going after anybody. This is about making sure that we make, our city safer, appealing, and I think it's in all of us. So if you can look into that and bring that bring it back as soon as possible,
Sure.
That will be appreciated. And one last thing, I don't know if this is something that, it's should be here, but, I think, Councilman Ureña, who's not here, and I have brought it up, we're looking into a grant writer. I think, we need to look for options. We need to look for ways to bring revenue, to go after monies. I know that other cities have projects, have facilities that they get funded through different, grants, whether it's the Clean Air, fund, Clean Water, excuse me. They build, parks and all kinds of things. So I think we're missing out. We need to be strategic as to where we're investing, and I think that will be something worth our, at least us looking into that. So if you can also look into that and report back, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Garcia.
Again, on the last meeting, we had a member or the district from Bank of America. Has he gone back to you on
No,
the
and-
shade? And I think we're still with that, and Wells Fargo as well.
The next step, we've seen some additional shades go up at Wells Fargo as a result of some of the dialogue that we've had. I do want to point out that the fire chief also reached out, and thank you, because those things have helped mitigate, because they're not solutions, but they've helped mitigate the issues that we have with the extreme heat. To this day, the issue that we still have, where we've seen at least not even mitigation, is B of A.
Yes.
So one of the things that I believe the mayor this past week or the previous week shared was actually setting up a meeting, in this case, with the proper leadership at the El Centro branch, because per the information that I was able to gather, they are the ones that actually work with the transportation company that goes and retrieves the money. So to some extent, they are the ones overseeing that operation. So it seems here that the next step that we need to do is just solicit a face-to-face meeting and see where that takes us.
Okay, yeah, because when he was here, I brought it up with him, and he said he was going to look into it, so. And another thing, so we're into the traffic. When we're going south, why is it that, from the mall, what is it, at 2nd Street, it's closed off, traffic cannot come through from that area and go into Mexico?
One of the things that the Chief Gerardo worked on was having a traffic controller subsidized by the businesses on the west part of town. Specifically, we know we have the Grand Plaza and we have a gas station that can help offset the cost of the city having to have our own traffic controllers. So the right-hand turn is closed during peak hours when we're managing the southbound flow of traffic on 111 and Cesar Chavez.
Yeah.
One of the things that we actually have a meeting tomorrow with Grand Plaza Administrator Casillas, and that is actually one of the items that's on our agenda to discuss because we want to follow up. They were amenable when we spoke to them to getting that done, so we want to follow up and see what the status of that is.
I think it will relieve a lot of the traffic
Yes.
coming from 111 and Cesar Chavez. Thank you.
You're welcome.
That's all I have.
Thank you. Just to piggyback a little bit on Mr. Garcia's comment in terms of the code enforcement, I know you're going to provide some kind of report, but perhaps even to avoid all this is have the code enforcement give us every council meeting an update. I know other municipalities do the same thing with the PowerPoint, how many vacant lots, what's the revenue, how many red tags, all that on a continual basis, right? Every city council member really would appreciate it. It's that's food for thought, by the way. One thing, also going to give an update next meeting for the Farm Worker Service Center. We got some good updates coming up, especially with the AP 941, which is co-authored by Assemblymember Garcia. No relation, Assembly Garcia. So there's funds allocated for that, just making us way up to the legislation for specifically the Farm Worker Service Center, which we are going to be putting in for that. So I'm really excited for that. I'll give an update on that, as well as the trailers, Mr. Figueroa,
Yes.
that we did get from the county for the homeless. And those experiencing some kind of a homeless. Also, I'd like to look into, I did talk earlier in the meeting in having that Friday open, at least have a skeleton crew to avoid senior citizens coming over and nobody there to turn away. Have some skeleton crew at least to address those issues with utilities and so forth, and because we're closed. Perhaps maybe enhance that, right?
One of the things I can do on that is take the request and have a dialogue with human resources and see the options that we have, at least from a timeline perspective, or what it would take to make that happen. And I can definitely report back on that.
Right. Also, I believe El Centro Regional Medical Center has potentially some resources that could help our senior citizens here at the community center. Please look into that. I don't know if you've already been talking to them, Dr. Edwards over there, but definitely they do want to work with this municipality and enhance that program there, which we're lacking resources, obviously. That's that thing. Also, what are the chances of us, I know we had an Oktoberfest a couple years ago, and what are the chances of doing a public Oktoberfest like we did last time?
I'll tell you. We've had two, right?
Right.
And I think everybody can agree that the second one really exceeded all expectations. The planning for that one took 6 months. 6 months, just because we want to obviously have quality events. I can share with you already that Calexico Brewing Company has been knocking on my door, expressing interest to once again have that concept in the city. Maybe we don't need to wait for October of 22 and see if once the weather is amenable, we can consider some type of event. So.
Okay, thank you. Anything else? No? Okay, I need a motion to adjourn the meeting.
So move.
So move. All those in favor? Aye. It is 8:11. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Have a good night.